Wraith by William Toney. Chapter 15, Waking to Shadows. It's not your time. Now wake up. Lilah heard this voice. Was she dreaming or was someone in the room? She felt a warm sensational wash over her body, and her eyes began to open. Lilah's senses slowly stirred as she drifted toward consciousness. The faint beeping of a heart monitor pierced the fog in her mind, anchoring her to reality. Pain throbbed through her skull, and her body felt weighted down, as if the mattress was trying to pull her into its depths. She blinked several times before the sterile white ceiling of a hospital room came into focus. She turned her head slightly, wincing as the movement sent a sharp ache through her neck. Machines hummed softly beside her, their lights blinking in a steady rhythm. The room smelled of antiseptic, a sharp contrast to the warm, comforting scent of home. Her mind raced as memories began to piece themselves together. The alley, Aaron struggling against those men, her desperate decision to intervene. She recalled yelling, the crack of fists hitting flesh, in the chaos that followed. After that, there was nothing but darkness. A gentle knock at the door pulled her attention. A man stepped in, his salt and pepper hair neatly combed and a leather-bound notebook tucked under his arm. He had a rugged look about him, his face lined with experience, and his badge clipped to his belt revealed his identity. Detective Marlowe. "Lilah," he said softly, his voice a blend of relief and caution. "Glad to see you awake. How are you feeling?" She opened her mouth to respond, but her voice came out hoarse and weak. I don't know. What happened?" Marlowe approached her bedside, pulling a chair closer before sitting down. He rested the notebook on his lap, his demeanor calm but serious. "You were attacked. Do you remember anything?" Lilah closed her eyes, willing her scattered thoughts to organize themselves. "I was on my way to the museum. Aaron works late sometimes, and I thought I'd surprise him. When I got close, I saw him in the alley, pinned against the wall by a group of men. They were beating him. I ran in to help, but—" She trailed off, shaking her head slightly. "It's all a blur after that." Marlowe nodded, his expression unreadable. "You were knocked unconscious. The blow to your head was severe enough to put you in a coma. You've been here for 2 weeks. Her breath caught in her throat. 2 weeks? "Yes," he said gravely. "You're lucky to be alive. And Aaron, he's physically fine, but there are some things I need to discuss with you. Things you might not want to hear." A wave of anxiety washed over her. "Is Aaron okay? What happened after I blacked out?" Marlowe hesitated, then leaned forward, his voice lowering. "Since the night of the attack, strange things have been happening. The men who assaulted you, well, some of them are no longer a problem. 3 are dead that I know of, and several more gang members have gone missing. Whoever's behind this isn't stopping." Lilah frowned, her confusion deepening. "What does this have to do with Aaron?" Marlowe's eyes searched hers, as if gauging how much she could handle. "Aaron was acting strange when I spoke to him the other day. He fits the description of a man who has been seen in areas connected to these incidents, asking questions about those men. I don't have solid proof, but his behavior is raising flags." Her heart sank. "Aaron wouldn't, he couldn't. He's not capable of something like this. I don't think a single man could take on an entire gang, but something's off. Maybe Aaron is not the same guy you knew before," Marlowe said gently. "Trauma has a way of changing people. He was brutally attacked, and you were nearly killed trying to protect him. That kind of experience can push someone to extremes." Lilah shook her head, refusing to accept the implication. "He's not violent. He's kind, thoughtful. He's not capable of what you're suggesting." "I understand how hard this is to hear," Marlowe said, his tone softening. "But people are complicated. Sometimes they're capable of things even they didn't think possible." Lilah clenched her fists, her nails digging into her palms. "Do you have any evidence? Anything at all that proves he's involved?" Marlowe leaned back in his chair, sighing. "No, not yet. But it's not just about him anymore." She stared at him, her pulse quickening. "What do you mean?" "The attack might have been random, but the men being there wasn't," Marlowe explained, his expression grim. "Those men weren't petty criminals. The crimes around the city were well organized and followed a pattern. They seemed to be part of a larger network. And now that they've been targeted, the people backing will take notice. If Aaron is involved, intentionally or not, he's painted a target on both of your backs. The weight of his words pressed down on her, stealing the breath from her lungs. What are you saying? That we're in danger? Yes, Marlowe said simply. And if Aaron is responsible for what's happening, he's put you both in a very precarious position. Lilah's mind raced. She had to find Aaron. She had to understand what was going on. If Marlowe's suspicions were even partially true, Aaron could be walking into something far bigger and more dangerous than either of them could handle. I need to talk to him, she said firmly, sitting up despite the protest of her aching body. Marlowe raised a hand. I was hoping you'd say that. He hasn't been cooperative with the investigation, and I think you might be the only person he'll listen to. But I have to warn you, if he's involved, this won't end well for him or you. Lilah glared at him, her determination unshaken. Aaron didn't do this. I'll prove it. Marlowe studied her for a moment before standing. For your sake, I hope you're right. But keep your eyes open, Lilah. Things aren't always what they seem. As the detective left the room, Lilah leaned back against the pillows, her thoughts a whirlwind of fear, anger, and confusion. Aaron couldn't be responsible for what Marlowe was suggesting. He wouldn't do something like this. He couldn't. But the doubts crept in, unwelcome and insistent. She hadn't seen Aaron in 2 weeks. She hadn't been there to watch him process what happened, or to see how it might have changed him. Taking a deep breath, she resolved to find him and get to the truth, no matter what it revealed. For Aaron's sake and her own, she couldn't afford to be wrong.